Helo, agus fáilte go trí seascad an program ag BBC Alba a bhí sa taispeánach na Bornaigh agus is scíalach an ingantach an is sil spórs na Halba. Is me Iona Ballantyne agus ha mi tollite ra go bhfuil àrd-oifigear ball-coise an bhean Aileen Campbell ar eascóirim san siúdio an teachcinsa. Ar program na h-Alba, coirtí mi hínas Aileen ar arscú deireadh teachcin mhòr an san SWPL a agus fearsún súlarás ar chuairtean deireannach Cupa na Halba. A seam cluinnidh ar Hibernian Laura Cheanadach a chuairtean ar a dríoch cuca seo agus an-seachdain-sa ar Kara Hanlon a gamas ar àrd-oifigear riachach ag gamachan a Cho Fhlaitheis. Aileen, welcome back to 360.
Thank you. It's good to be back on the red couch again. So yeah, it's lovely to be back.
Well, it's great to have you back, and it would be great to hear all about what you've been up to, because I imagine you've been very busy recently.
Yeah, at the moment it's really busy, and I imagine it's the same for many different footballing organisations, because it's now the culmination of lots of competitions and leagues. Most recently we had our Scottish Women's Cup semi-final, which was 2 back-to-back games at Falkirk Stadium, and then we're looking to playoffs, championship playoffs, SWPL presentations, a whole host of different competitions coming to an end. So a busy time, exciting time, and the culmination of some fantastic competitions.
Well, talk to us about the Scottish Women's Cup semi-finals at the weekend, because that was a great advert for Scottish women's football.
Oh, it was tremendous. You know, I think the two ties were, I suppose people would expect Celtic and Glasgow City to win. Ultimately, they did both win those games. However, they were hard fought for by both Hearts and Partick Thistle, and both games were really great adverts for the women's game. Probably also a good indicator of how far the games and other clubs have progressed over time. The first game went to extra time, and Partick Thistle really pushed City close. So yeah, a wonderful occasion. Everyone who attended had a great time, and yeah, we're now looking forward to the final at the end of this month at Tynecastle.
Well, let's talk about that Hearts Celtic one, the first game on Sunday, because at one point Hearts must have thought, oh my goodness, we could be in with a home final here.
Yeah.
Until Celtic scored in extra time.
Absolutely, and you know, the club we had done some kind of promotion at Tynecastle to announce that was going to be where the cup final was going to be played, and we spoke to Mariel Kenny, and you could tell from her how important it was to the club. It was a really great opportunity to get to the final and to play in front of, you know, essentially Hearts supporters at the home of Hearts. So they were really up for it, and they kind of clearly demonstrated that on the pitch as well, pushing the game to extra time. The goalkeeper did really well, they defended really well, and yeah, they run Celtic close. And I think for a moment we thought it might have gone to penalties, but there was 2 quick goals from Celtic that got and booked their place in the final.
I was just going to ask that, did you think it would be that kind of drama of penalties for that semi-final?
Well, I don't think that's traditionally what happens in the women's game, and certainly not for the competitions that the SWF have run. So yeah, it was a surprise that it went to extra time. It was looking like it was going to penalties, and of course we're operating them back to back as well, so there was a bit of thinking about how we're going to try and accommodate all the different changing rooms and all the rest of it, but nonetheless, you know, what a thrilling game, and Hearts did themselves proud, and we were really pleased as well that Anne Budge was there, Andrew McKinlay, so there were senior representatives from Hearts club had come through to support the team, so you could see right across the wider club how much it meant to them as a club, and probably how much it meant to the girls on the pitch. It's a young team, they've performed really well, they've got really far in the cup, and so they should really be proud. I know they'll be tinged with a bit of disappointment, but my goodness, they did really well.
Well, it was really great to see, and a big congratulations to Celtic for making another
Absolutely.
Final. They will be playing Glasgow City, who were up against Partick Thistle again. How was that game for you?
So the second one as well. So once we drew breath about what had happened in the first game, we were quite quickly into the next game, and again another thrilling semi-final. Glasgow City, clear favourites, but Partick Thistle did so well. They were dogged. It was a feisty game. They were really full of grit and determination, and again backed by their club. Jackie Lowe, the chair, was there. There was members from the Partick Thistle board there to support the team. Kingsley, the Partick Thistle mascot, also made an appearance as well. So, and they brought a huge crowd. So it was a really great atmosphere for that second game, and really great to see that wider support for the women on the pitch. And I know also Partick Thistle had put a huge effort into a lot of social media. I understand as well they had wee clips from family members that they played in the changing rooms, and everyone was in tears as well. So a historic season for Partick Thistle. Surprise entrance into SWPL1, but have done well in the league and really exceeded, I think, all expectations in their phenomenal cup run. So again, probably disappointed ultimately, but they did so well. They should be really proud, and we were really proud that all teams across the day created great affairs and great events.
Good, well, it's been so great to see, but now we do have the final at Tynecastle, Glasgow City versus Celtic. How excited are you for that one?
Really excited. I think there's lots of different dynamics here. It's a rerun of the League Cup final that we hosted at the end of December, which Celtic won. They kind of got first dibs on silverware in the Premier League. So it's a rerun of that game. City are currently the holders of the cup, so they'll be looking to retain it. They'll be watching, I suppose, as well what happens in the league and making sure that they kind of end the season on a high as well. So yeah, there's lots of things to be looking out for, and I know also that Celtic will be looking for a cup double. They'll be looking to get some more silverware in the trophy, so it looks to stand ready as a really great event, and I hope many people can come along and support the event on the day on the 29th at Tynecastle, which is a hugely impressive stadium, a great venue for football fans. You're right in the action, so we're hoping to make it a really family-friendly occasion, have events on to try and make it feel like a festival of women's football.
Brilliant. Well, a lot of drama to unfold, a lot of drama to come, but Aileen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, sé Laura Cheanadach in cluinnidh a choisín as smóide guishin son skipping and ban ag Hibs chuinnidh 3 títil in league, cóig bún Cupa na h-Alba agus 3 Cupa in league san Iona eiche ag na Hibes. Ha Laura a bhí brín rí 3 seascad min tarfacha sin agus go leor eile.
Ba Laura Kennedy mar far sin a chiad skippe ag bod in the Hibernian, I dáis an the neach-cír díag neich an neich. Agus háise chi amach an a ball-coise, so nun dóid the ainmeachadh ag an am sin.
It probably started, I've got 2 big brothers, so just probably kicking the ball about many years ago, and then just from then on got a passion to play. There wasn't very many opportunities at that point, so that was maybe about probably 30 plus years ago, to be honest. So there wasn't many girls that were out playing. So yeah, that's where it all began for me. There certainly wasn't any options to go and play, like to join a club or girls or anything like that. I don't know. I think I had to play amongst the boys originally, and it all kind of. I got asked by one of the school coaches to attend a boys' trial, and then from there on, it kind of went from me being one of the first girls to play in a mixed team at a school level, and then the things started to open up. I think there was ladies' teams out there, but there wasn't for younger. I was in primary school at the time, so it wasn't that. I think there was maybe a ladies' team, but there was no academies or anything, so it was quite difficult to get into it.
Ha Kennedy union a cluichitrin a survachala díomh cluich de Hibs. A búnachach tícht de la league 3 túrsan, Cupa league 3 túrsan, agus Cupa na h-Alba 4 túrsan. Hadis the dríochad fat.
To be honest, I think now looking back at the history, it's phenomenal, I guess, what we've achieved. But at the time, we were just Hibs ladies going about our business. I was very fortunate to play in an extremely good team with talented players. So yeah, I think we just had a really good passion. There was, I think it was a good group of girls, and it was extremely different from then. We wore X strips of the males team. We didn't have fitted ladies. We didn't get track suits. We played on any pitch that we could play at the time. We ended up playing our home games at Craig Royston down at St Mark's Park. that was kind of a turning point for us, because Oliver's got involved with some sponsorship, and we kicked on from there. But the successful part of it, it didn't come naturally. There was a lot of hard work that went into it. But when we started to dominate in the women's game, we obviously did for a long period. And yeah, looking back, it was what we were doing. It didn't seem any different. I guess now that it's not been repeated, it was a huge historic moment for the football club. So I think it was 2003 when we first won the Scottish Cup, underdogs against Kilmarnock at Livingston, and we won it on penalties. And I can still remember it to this day because it's so long ago. And even, I guess, some of the trophies after that, I guess when you're still winning, you don't forget every trophy, but you can maybe ask me about other cup finals, and I maybe won't be as and remember it as much as I did that day anyway.
Blianasa, rang Laura Cheanadach mar a chiad sé díobh a chaidh ainmeachadh an talan in luch ag club ball-coise Hibernian. Rutagan, hai fiachain, they find cleachtidish hast.
They just called to say that I'd been chosen by a panel and I was being inducted. I think even up to the induction of a couple of weeks ago, I didn't actually believe, I didn't understand how big a thing it was. I guess on the back of it, I just thought, oh, that's okay, I'll go along, it'll be a dinner. And even at that time in 2020, and then it went away and then I got an email about maybe just at the start of March to say that it was going ahead. And just, we weren't allowed to say anything as before. It was a surprise, family and friends inviting us along. And even up to that evening, I still didn't understand how big a deal it was. And then, yeah, I certainly did on the night. I guess the nerves kicked in and it hit home when I seen everybody and all the setup and whatnot as well. So yeah, I actually had to, the night before, I was thinking, I'm going to get interviewed at this. I might want to look back and see exactly what it is that I've won and played in. So I made a note on my phone and I was like, wow, that's quite a read-in. But yeah, I think the Champions League, and it does. I think the first Champions League, we were very, very narrow, that we nearly came out the league and qualified. And then the second time that I think we hosted it the second time, and then the third time actually was in Zante for my mum's 50th birthday, and I flew from Greece to where it was being held to play. And yeah, playing for your club at that level is phenomenal. I think because you've got the bond of the team and going and travel and be able to do that as part of a team, it certainly is up there with the best experience that I've ever had. And memorable wise, absolutely. I think as well, when looking back now and reflecting, I think there was a season that we scored over 100 goals and barely conceded. And I think at the time, again, you don't really reflect on that because it was Hibs ladies, and that's what we did. We just won and we kept on winning trophies. And I think I have been reflecting on the last couple of weeks, certainly.
Get nach Aileen cluinnidh ag club tuilleach. Bí Laura Haas the lenting in Cupa. Agus hain dáchas san amdí teach, gunning Hibs ainmeachadh, gunning shorsa survachas, bhaich chaidh.
I'm still really friendly with Joelle, and there's a couple of girls still there, Siobhan Hunter and stuff, that I played in the same team as. So yeah, I do. I always watch every weekend. I check the results and stuff, and even all this time after, it's extremely frustrating. Some of the results I've had recently, they are in a transition period, and I think it's difficult for me to put into perspective when I played and when they played, because it was a two-team league. It certainly was. Towards the end, it wasn't. You had Celtic and Rangers were definitely up there competing, but as the large part of my career, it certainly was ourselves in Glasgow City that competed for most trophies. But I think the transition is going to happen, and I think Hibs need to now, the football club needs to back the ladies if they want to move them forward and they want to be back up there winning trophies, because they've definitely got the personnel to do it and they can compete. But it must be very frustrating for the players, that especially like Joelle, that have been there in long service and losing games where they shouldn't be losing. But it just shows you that other teams are investing and want to get there. I do hope that the football club do back the ladies and they do get whatever contracts are welcome to them. And it's certainly the ladies' game should be a bigger welcome to spectators and people, just bringing in the younger girls. And it's such a big thing at youth level and schools and just like that. So they need a point of where they want to aim towards, and at the minute it seems a bit like, well, the best thing to do is maybe to move down to another to England, and you don't want that. You want to keep your best players in your country. So I do hope that. I hope the transition works, and especially for the football club itself.
Aileen, what a story, and even just hearing Laura talk about starting off playing in kind of old men strips and whatever pitch they could. It's such a familiar story for former footballers here in Scotland.
Yeah, and I think it really shows how much the game has progressed and how much of a different, very much different place now, where there are the women's teams are taken far more seriously, given much more respect, and they're performing so well on the pitch. In fact, there are other clubs now really vying and challenging, whereas what Laura was describing was that there was just two teams dominating. So yeah, a really interesting story. But the other thing that struck me was how humble she was as well, that she kind of really had to remind herself of just how much she had achieved as a player with the Hibs team, who were so dominant and had performed so well. So yeah, again, a very humble, inspiring woman footballer.
And also not to mention that she was the first woman to be inducted into the Hibs Hall of Fame. Is that something you hope to see across other teams in time to come? Yeah,
absolutely. I think there are lots of gaps where women need to be found present, whether that's boardrooms or whether that's within the wider infrastructure of football, and certainly in clubs Hall of Fame. So it's really lovely that that she has been, her achievements have been commemorated in such a way in the Hall of Fame at Hibernian. So hopefully there'll be many more stories of that happening across other clubs and other teams in the years to come. But certainly I think her story is remarkable, and again, just a really good test of how far things have come. However, I think there are still things that happen at the moment that we still should be mindful of, that we need to change around access to facilities where girls and women can play, and that need to have further improvement and never take our foot off the gas with that. We don't want to become complacent. There are still challenges and barriers, but I think what we've heard just now just shows just how far things have come.
How are you working with that to kind of make facilities more accessible and easier for women's teams to have these things available? Yeah, well, I think I know that that's a bit of work that we've been listening to our clubs across different leagues about what are the challenges, what are the barriers, and some have come back and said that facilities are a challenge, and I think that's something that's recognised across football as a whole. And I know that colleagues across the SFA are trying to kind of work out where are the gaps, and how do we then work with partners to try and improve it. It's not easy. It's not going to be solved overnight, but I think as long as we start to kind of recognise that there is a need for facilities, if we want to grow the game, then people need to be able to play somewhere as well. And of course there are other things that we need to be mindful of as well around the affordability of football, people's cost of living, all the different challenges that people are facing that we need to be really mindful of. And I know again that's work that the SFA, and we'll be supporting that work to make sure that we can grow the game as best we can for everyone, but with our interest being firmly on girls and women. And you can see how great it is when teams do have access to these things, and just how much the game can grow from that too. Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose this has been an interesting season in the Premier League as well, both 1 and 2, to see how many main big stadiums have now showcased women's football. So we've had Pittodrie, we've had Ibrox, Parkhead. There's been games at Easter Road and at Tynecastle as well, and the SWPL2 title trophy is going to be presented to Dundee United at Tannadice as well. So all attracting big crowds, a real indication of the main clubs, the men's clubs, now starting to recognise the need to embrace and support their women's teams as well, that it can't just be in name only. There needs to be that infrastructure around that as well. So there's lots of good things that have happened this season that kind of, I guess, indicate that there's been progression, and long may that continue. That's on top of clubs like Hamilton and Kilmarnock regularly playing at their grounds as well, with those grounds having AstroTurf. Well, let's actually talk about that, because SWPL 1 and 2 are moving away from Scottish women's football, but you still have so much to work with. What is the plan for next season? What are your kind of main things to focus on? I'm sure there are lots. So there's the work to kind of make sure that the transition is smooth. There is also the work that we need to apply now and can focus in on what will be our top league, which will be the Championship. Again, that'll be an exciting competition, and the leagues beneath that. The Championship will be, as I say, our top league. Our kind of work in
phrase at the moment is that we're operating the game from children to championship. So we're running all ages and stages competitions across the country. Like I say though, we're working hard with our clubs in the championship to work out how we make sure that that is a successful, ambitious, visionary league as well, and that we can get behind it and support it. We've got some fantastic clubs that currently play in the championship. They have those leagues have also had real excitement about it. The Championship South went to the very last game before it determined the winner. In terms of Championship North, Montrose were runaway leaders, but the second place went to the last game as well, in terms of them going into the playoff to determine who's the third place team that goes into SWPL 2. So lots of excitement, lots of great clubs, lots of great personnel across those clubs, volunteers, and we're looking forward to working with them and making sure that that's a successful league and part of the performance pyramid going forward.
And you talk about Children's Championship, that just shows how crucial it is for the pathways for these teams too.
Absolutely. We need to also be mindful of the need to continue to attract and inspire and nurture talent as well. So there are changes around some of the performance leagues. There are also things that we need to do and think about how we can support clubs to ensure that there are opportunities for young girls as well. So, I guess, we'll not always get things right, but there is a determination and a drive to make sure that we work with all our members to make women's and girls football the success that we know it can be. And we'll be looking to the success of the SWPL in its new home to continue with that much needed visibility that enables young girls to look at it and visualise themselves in those places in years to come. So yeah, exciting times, historic changes, an exciting season, and we're looking forward to what comes next.
All right, very exciting indeed, thank you. But is all Kara Hanlon a Stornoway über sin mhòr agus fein chuan iris áirte out in sports éige. Hans navadar all ganisha gamis áte chosnach and is skipping the h-Alba son gamicin Cho Fhlaitheis out in Birmingham.
De snabhat alpanach Kara Hanlon, han duiscedí with cuairtean, agus háiscí trénach go farpaseach san snàmh ina talaiche, unyelang lewish.
I think I always had a love for swimming over anything else. It kind of was the one thing I was really good at compared to the other things, and I think just the one thing that I enjoyed the most. And I think at the age of around 16, I sort of just was a swimmer. I sort of dropped everything else and just focused on becoming, the best swimmer I could be. So probably from around the age of 16, I really, made the choice to really just focus on my swimming. I grew up in Stornoway, and I trained up in Ness, which is about a 40-minute drive away from Stornoway, with my coach DR, and he sort of only had 2 or 3 of us in a 12.5 metre pool, which we trained in, I think it was 4 nights a week up there. And then I think I only started doing morning training at the age of, I think, 16, 17. And that was only an hour or something before school. So I wasn't doing loads of meters, I wasn't doing loads of time in the pool, but the things that we were doing seemed to work, and seemed to just sort of flourish from that.
Chaidh Kara a ainmeachadh san Cupa son gemicin a Cho Fhlaitheis an na dábhílas a céirtíach is 8tíach. Sa sin go Gianno cersco Danian na hamasanaiche riing.
2014 I was sort of really young at that time, and I sort of did the time without really knowing what the time was for the consideration time, and I was 4th at the trials behind the 3 girls who actually did go. And at the time it was pretty heartbreaking, but at the same time I was so young that it didn't really knock me too much. I just remember thinking, well, I've got so much time left, I can, go to the next one. And then 2018 kind of comes around, and that was obviously a huge goal of mine. And just missing the time by 0.04 of a second was pretty tough. And I think it was the sort of slight chance that I might be taken and then wasn't, that was probably the worst feeling. But I mean, I think I just got back into training, reassessed what my goals were and reassessed why I was doing it, and I was still enjoying it at the time, so I just kind of went on from that. And I think it's probably all in the long run made me stronger and made me a more motivated athlete.
Bhuine Kara bean áir agus dá bean nua ag farpas bhríchting. Gar faca le choramáin stoi gan skippe son na Geminan on the Birmingham.
Oh, I was over the moon with my performances. I think, it was probably more than I could have asked for in that final event on that last day. And I'd had 2 solid swims earlier in the week in the 50 and the 200. And I think I got the consideration time in the 50 on the first day. And that kind of took the pressure off and just kind of made me, trust in the rest of the meet going forward. And come Sunday, I think I was just ready to go. I was really excited for the 100, and it's my favourite event. So we've been training really hard for it, and I think it all just came together on the night, and I managed to touch the wall first. I think it's just so motivating and inspiring going forward, because this is going to be, I think we've got 14 weeks or something till the Commonwealth Games now, and I think just knowing that I'm in a really good place at the moment just motivates me even more to get even better in the next 12 weeks before tapering down for the next meet.
Ag farpas bhríchting, bris Kara an clárag alpanach a share sa réis 100 metre breaststroke. Clárag a héis son chuairtean bliana.
I mean, when I was younger, no, absolutely not. It was I think it was always a dream and a wish to be as good as I could be, and I think having seen people like Kirsty Balfour and Corey Scott and Catherine Johnson all coming up before me, Hannah Miley, it was just always that stepping stone, and I always looked up to them, and it's crazy to think that now I'm the one breaking those records. So it's a really lovely feeling to think that all the hard work over the years is really paying off.
Ha Kara éadmhid man choramagol go Birmingham, gus áirtear leis nach dúdaí gan arpas sa blianaich an runner show.
I mean, I would just be so honoured and proud to represent Scotland. It's obviously been a dream of mine for the past 8 years. So I would just be over the moon and hope to sort of swim the best I could for Team Scotland. It makes it all the more special and all the more, earned. It really feels like it's an earned place on that team. And I think a lot of people might feel that as well. And it's nice to sort of know that I put my foot down and carried on, and just really persevered through the years, and to sort of make it on that team would be just the icing on the cake. The goal with my coach at the start of the season was to obviously qualify for the games and then hope to challenge for a medal once we get there. So hopefully if the next few weeks go to plan, training goes well, and I hope to swim even faster in the summer, and I think it just will be down to the day and how other people are going when we get there. But that would be definitely a dream come true, and a few goals definitely ticked off.
What a humble athlete, and you really hope it's third time lucky for Kara this time.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think she was talking about how she tried it for 2014, 2018, and that doggedness, that determination, never giving up. I think she used the word perseverance herself, and I hope that she does well in Birmingham. I think she certainly sounds like she deserves it, and I'm sure the whole of the Western Isles will be right behind her.
Well, when it comes to events like the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games, how important is it to capitalise on these huge sporting events and really get more people involved?
Absolutely, they're huge, and the legacy that they leave, so they happen, they're wonderful when they're in a town or a city, they're brilliant events and they kind of really inspiring in their own right, but it has to be about the legacy that comes after it, the investment in the infrastructure, the investment in the facilities, making sure that work is happening with communities to make sure that there are no barriers there, that people can feel connected to the facilities that are getting put up for those big events, and making sure then that people can feel that they can take part in those sports going forward, and that you grow the next generation of talented athletes. But definitely Kara is hugely inspiring. I'm sure she'll inspire some more swimmers, and it's interesting interesting as well, she mentioned Hannah Miley. So again, that visibility in women's sport being so critical. If you can see someone that's, you know, performing so well, you want to be that, you can aspire to be that, then it drives you forward. And you know, that's a wonderful thing that she was mentioning. So many great athletes that have helped keep her motivated to hopefully have her own success in Birmingham.
I know, and like you say, her name will be somebody that another young swimmer looks up to in years to come, and it's so important to be able to hear stories like Kara's.
Oh, absolutely, and I think as well, I remember from when I was at school, there was, you know, a couple of people who were doing swimming, and I know how hard they have to work. She talked as well about how she was training before school, and you know, having to get up so early to do that, the kind of family commitment that requires, and doing it in a 12.5 metre pool as well. You know, that is even more remarkable that she's competing at the levels and that she is at, given that she was having to swim in a tiny wee pool when she was in the Western Isles. But it shows you what can happen if you put and apply yourself, the right support around you. You can achieve and attain great heights. But yeah, she will be hugely inspirational, I'm sure, to future swimmers, and we've got a huge track record in swimming in Scotland. Again, these big events and that achievement on the podiums not happening by accident, but by the backing of wonderful governing bodies, Sport Scotland, all the Institute of Sport, all kind of making sure that support's in place to make sure that we can have not only people inspired to swim, but also to do well at the big events.
Exactly, they're working so hard behind the scenes, and we do hope, even for Kara, that it will pay off. I have no doubt. Yeah, it's her time.
Absolutely, and to perform as well. You know, it's down in Birmingham, so it's quite close by. So hopefully a good crowd there to kind of cheer on Team Scotland when they take part in the respective events.
Yeah, no, we do wish her all the best. But Aileen, we can't have you on and not talk about a huge game this weekend in SWPL1 between Rangers and Glasgow City. The title could be wrapped up for Rangers. How excited are you about this?
Yeah, it's a big game, a really big game. Lots at stake. If Rangers, you know, do well on Sunday, they can claim the league and will end that kind of dominant streak that City have had over a number of seasons. But likewise, if City upset that party, then it goes to the final game, and again keeps the interest and the intrigue and the excitement in the league going for that wee bit longer. So yeah, we're all looking forward to Sunday's game, preparing to work out where we need to have trophies and such like. But certainly, yeah, it'll stand to be a good game. Two fantastic teams. Rangers again showing how important investment, infrastructure and support around the women's team is, because they're now competing at the top level and challenging City, who are, you know, still doing so well, 2 cup finals, challenging for that top place in the league, not out of the running, but certainly yeah, it's been exciting and we look forward to it.
It's quite amazing that it's come down to the wire again this season. What kind of picture does that paint for Scottish women's football?
Well, I think and I hope that it kind of paints the picture for people who are watching it to kind of recognise that there is excitement, there is intrigue, there's lots to play for, the stakes are high, there's real competitiveness in the league, and it kind of the stories around it are really exciting and thrilling, and I hope again that it just inspires that kind of audience to grow. That visibility again is critical. Maybe hopefully inspires more young girls to take part in football, but yeah, attracts that bigger audience that we know is important to help the game grow. And yeah, we'll look forward to Sunday to seeing how it goes and seeing where ultimately the trophy is lifted.
All right, well, Aileen, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will keep a good eye on what's happening this weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, sin airson an-nach in a h-Alba ball-coise àrd nach Cho Fhlaitheis colrooms in studio. Jen Keenshock gyfel sy'n fel lent yn BBC Alba ar YouTube ar son hwlafes gochiangol sy'n tri siasgyd ein. Agus jadonich sa tîain, Jen Keenshock yn bysio fy coed dygem chwydrymach ag eich prif lig ng ban a gjerfach etter Rangers is Glasgow City in Shaw ar BBC Alba. Chisinship and ahwrys.